What's up? What's up? It's your boy, Grant Gatsby. Everybody else's entertainment. One time here, coming with the Central Ohio Creatives podcast. Didn't even think that I was going to get invited, but I did. So I'm here to tell you the fucking inside of the inside.
Speaking of legend,
we got one here.
We got one in the building with us right there, right here, right now, y'all. We got the Great Grant Gatsby in the building with us today, y'all. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
For those that don't know, this gentleman right here is a curator, an event booker. He's an A&R. He's also a teacher, stage manager, shape carver. That's the one I'm maybe most interested about right there, and also a designer as well. So a man of many hats, as you could tell, but you may know him for one of many different things that he does. We actually got him in here more for the A&R space, but after seeing the resume, I'm like, we got a ton of questions we about to get into for this man right here.
Oh, everything. I'll bring you what I can bring you, for sure.
Let's go. Come on, Keith.
So Grant, what's your story?
What's my story? My story is everything that I've done. I did because I just wanted to and had the passion for it, and there wasn't necessarily a college route or something easy like that to get into, although there are many business programs and things out there in education. My story is I fell in love with hip-hop. I loved it. I grew up with my dad listening from everything from the Beatles to a Michael Jackson Thriller album. I remember that. To Moody Blues and Temptations from back in the day. I mean, he listened to a lot of eclectic music. And I fell in love with that. And the next thing you know, it was the drum line.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I remember hearing... trying to think of like some of the, sometimes the stuff we grow up to as kids in hip hop, it's pretty cheesy. Can be, crisscross, you know what I'm saying? I never wore the backward pants.
Hey, look, I used to love Bow Wow. You know
I
used to love Bow Wow.
It's all love. Yeah, you got roots here. Exactly. So, but I, like Run DMC, I would say Run DMC. I know what. For me, it was Walk This Way.
Okay.
And what Rick Rubin, and what the record label, what was his nickname was Russia Rush. Russell Simmons' nickname was Russia Rush. Look that up.
Rush. Okay.
I'm not going to say it now. I'm not going to call him out. But seeing what they did with taking a rock group that was essentially had blues and soul backing, that's essentially what it was, and then they're almost gone, and hooking them up with, Run DMC,
right.
And a brand new concept coming up, and making the song Walk This Way, as far as being a popular song. But that really got me. Next thing was Beastie Boys, LL,
yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I was, grew up in the suburbs and on the west side, back and forth for years, and just fell in love with music, and I knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to do something. I didn't even know what it was. I did art. I went to Combs College Art and Design.
Okay.
Had a full ride there.
Nice.
And was doing artwork and some sort of creativeness from when I was a kid all the way. And I loved art, and I still do all that stuff today. But there's something about the story of hip hop that spoke to me. So.
I remember, it was before my time, but I remember them saying like Aerosmith, when that song came out, like that collab was a big deal because it was like basically like, the collaborations between two different worlds. Hip hop was like still fresh basically at that time. Run DMC was like kind of the face before like LL Cool J and stuff took over. And then, Aerosmith was hot at that time as far as on the rock scene. So like them bringing
they were dying.
Oh, were they?
They were completely dying.
Really?
Like to us, they were successful musicians. But they were on the decline in sales. They were about to get dropped from the label.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you're giving us the game. That's why I said something else. You see that? I did that?
Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons in hip hop. I don't know what would exist if it wasn't for them. Something would still exist because of how hip hop developed, from where it developed from, and who it developed from. but they saw that.
Okay.
And they took that. They were about to lose the record label, and at that time, with the way that labels were being done, they weren't about to lose the record label. I'm saying Aerosmith was about to lose their contract.
Okay.
So they were about to get dropped. So because of the way things worked back then with the labels and distribution and everything, it was a little bit easier to come in and prove yourself.
Okay.
Not like it is now.
Okay.
There wasn't 1,000 million rappers and wannabe labels. Okay.
Right.
So Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons saw what they saw in their artists and the people that they were representing and in the scenes, and they knew that they could get something, and they pitched it basically. I don't know all the super details, but they pitched the idea, and they loved it. And they did Walk This, and that was a song that was already done.
Yeah.
Right. And it fucking blew. And the next thing you know, Aerosmith, I mean, he will...
So the song wasn't hitting like that until Run DMC got on it.
The song did hit already.
Oh, okay.
But their time had passed from that album.
Got you.
So
okay.
Rick Rubin said, well, dude, it was the first fucking remix. It was the first big remix in hip-hop history. Think about it. He took a rock song with the band. They recorded the video and did the whole thing, released it all, and MTV just came. They're about to do videos live on television. I'm telling you, Rick Rubin and
they knew it.
They knew it.
Yeah.
They fucking knew it, and it destroyed. It's on record that Run DMC didn't even understand. Like, they were like, what the fuck are we rapping? You know, and if you listen to the lyrics, it was meant for a rock song or whatever, but they're not saying nothing. You know, but they saw it and they came in, and next thing you know, killed. Put them back, gave them a career again. So Aerosmith then had a new late 80s, 90s career that pushed them into where they are to this day. And Run DMC was first to step on the stand in the limelight of hip-hop, I guess, arguably.
That's a good time to fall in love with hip-hop right there. That's a good time right there.
Well, you know, everybody argues about what's the greatest time in hip-hop, but you know, it was an awesome time in the beginning for sure. A lot of things,
Now, as a show booker, what do you look for when selecting artists to perform, and how do you discover your new talent? We know Skully's, I mean, can't keep the door closed, all the talent that's coming through there, and if you got a lot to do with that, how do you go about deciding who's going to come in and out of those doors?
So, you know, I don't know now. They don't use, nowadays people don't use websites as much to promote lists of upcoming shows and all those things. And so it's not even on there. It just says you want to make sure to check our Facebook page, and all those things should be. But back in the day when it wasn't, and it might still be on there, you see there's a little circle on there, a little certification symbol on the front page of Skully's, and it says #1 place for hip hop and R&B. That's because of me and several other individuals. And I don't mean to say that in any way, toot their horn. It just didn't exist before we started doing shows. So Skully's was, at the essence, like the first big venue that recognized, with the management of Johnny Vishak. Shout out to Johnny Vishak. I can't remember your company's name, bro, but I got you. Johnny Vishak managed the place and booked it there, and then myself and others booked through him for that place. And we brought in, you know, everywhere from Brother Ali to Kendrick Lamar and their camp, and new and old and all the OGs and everything like that. It became a spot for larger hip-hop shows, and still is to this day. Still is to this day. Shout out to Sam Rostick.
Cool. Can you share a memorable experience while you was managing a live show?
Yeah. You guys looking for like Wikipedia stories? You guys want some?
Now give us that real. Give us that real.
Want to get some shit?
Yeah,
all right.
You can get gory if you need to.
All right. Trying to think, man, because I don't. It's crazy because it's like behind the scenes you see
Yes.
Especially if you're professional, even if you're professional and you're doing the right things and taking care of the artists and doing all the things on the different ends you were talking about, what you look for in artists and venues and all that stuff. You gotta learn all that, and I always tried to and learn from people, mentors and individuals like that, and tried to research like you guys do. But Skully's, man. There was, just like any venue, all kinds of crazy events. I've got some TDE stories, and a lot of times, the good stories are the smooth stories, right?
Yeah.
Great show,
Yeah.
great performance,
Right.
great crowd.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing happens. Everybody gets paid. No turntables or DJ equipment stop. No, technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Which is rare. All that is rare,
Of course.
But there's obviously, when it comes to the performance, there's 1,000 times where some of the greatest shows that I saw on set wasn't the greatest behind the scenes. It's a true thing.
Yeah.
The artist that I love the most, and me personally, of my list and artists that I like to book the most, that were heroes of mine and still is today, great lyricists, whatever. Most of the time, they're the biggest dicks.
That's when I was
I'm
coming.
not kidding you.
Yeah.
The coolest guy ever, I'll tell you, man, the coolest guy ever that I would book forever my whole life is Project Pat. And I do not,
Shout out to Pastor Pat. Y'all know what's going on.
I'm not a fan of I respect 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah, they one of my favorites. Yeah.
They've got some dope songs
Yeah.
that are classic
Mhm.
in the spectrum and the whole entire hip hop.
Yeah.
But it was not the way that it wasn't the type of music that
For
I
sure.
gravitated towards and wanted to listen to all the time.
Mhm.
But you got to respect where respect is due,
For sure.
no matter what OG you are.
Yeah.
And we booked Project Pat, man, and he was the same. He acted the same way behind scenes as he did on stage. He treated us and the staff the same way he treated fans, including the sound man and everybody. Took his time, was patient, showed up on time, and even during, he just became into like a Red Man guy. Like, he just became into a jokester, fun, I'm going to have a great time. And he was the same way to the 18-year-old, boo-boo heads and college kids, to the street kids, to the hip hop heads.
Okay.
He was the same way to all of them, and he was fun as hell. I'd book him any fucking time.
Solid.
Solid.
Yeah.
That's rare.
It is.
Sure. One more time, shout out to Pastor Pat. My man's doing some big things over there.
He is.
That's
He
an
is.
OG who getting right. You know what I mean? He leading the way for the youth. For
That's
sure.
absolutely most
Absolutely.
definitely.
How do you balance your various roles as a teacher, stage manager, and A&R? What do you think you enjoy, and then what do you think you enjoy most about each position?
Well, as far as balancing, I'm still at the stage, and I'm in my career where I don't feel overwhelmed.
Okay.
Shout out to my girl Annie Ozzie on IG. She helps me with a lot of the business aspect. I've never been with somebody that's helped me with like that. I've never even had necessarily a close friend. I've always had to do it myself, all the hats, everything. So as far as balancing it, I feel like I'm still kind of at a position where I can handle that a little bit, but it depends. You could have a couple months, could be off, and you're settling up for the next year, getting ready for whatever you need to get ready to, and then all of a sudden, it blasts and hits you, and you are full go.
Yeah.
So it's. I think the balance is knowing knowing what times and things are best for you, and sometimes, and that takes time to learn. If you've only been doing something for 6 months or creating something for a while, you might not have been able to figure that out yet. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what the
And
time.
then what was the other part of the question?
What do you enjoy most about each position? And that's for teacher, stage manager, and A&R. What's the best thing about each? I know it's kind of a lot, but
Well, I would say it's the same for everything for me. Really everything. Rather it's doing something like my brand or merchandise or something I'm doing artistically. It's giving back. It's something for the person, creating something for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Rather it's a single person, like a shape carve or you help them out with an event or something personally or whatever, or it's a community or it's a gathering of an event show or a festival, or rather it's volunteering or it's part of your job. I kind of put them all together,
Right.
and I think that pretty much most of what I do is all for some sort of community or individual to experience and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Serving, service art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. You enjoy other people enjoying what you create. It's kind of like for other people in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, my company is called Everybody Else's.
Shout out to Everybody Else's. Y'all know what time it is. Everybody Else's Entertainment. We got the logo down there in the corner. Y'all see what's going on.
That's right. Yeah, that looks good, man. That looks good, man. Right
Can you
there.
tell us about the process of creating that? What was the process of creating that?
What?
Your entertainment company.
Again, like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I just wanted to be involved. I started to see that there was a lack of representation, and not necessarily, no job titles were coming across my brain.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I loved hip hop. I started to fall in love with it. I loved music. I loved art. So I started to research it, know the history and who is what and why, and the economic impact and all those, everything that came with the history. My dad was a history buff and he was a history minor in college. So we grew up caring about history. And so I think that's the most important thing to knowledge.
Nice.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just knew that what seemed to be missing was somebody who wasn't doing the music.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily trying to be a manager or start a label, nothing like that. Just an individual that they can trust in between those people. And just being somebody that says, you know what, I can trust Grant to go and do this, or I trust him, or he's behind his word, and when what he says, he follows through with.
Solid.
Yeah. And that's I think that's really kind of what it started on. And I started following. I started learning about it. I came back from Cincinnati. Shout out to Dante and High Tech. Okay. I lived there right before the riots of 2001. My building was actually ended up being destroyed in the area, and so I left literally like a month and a half before the guard came in or anything. And I was there in Cincinnati, and I came back. I was in a dark place where I came back, and then that's kind of when it started. And I was listening already. I can't remember all the details. I'm a little foggy, a lot of the weed, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Shout out to Snoop Dogg and Cypress Hill.
Yeah, I know what's
Devin,
going on.
dude, I love you too. I went to a record shop that doesn't exist. I was trying to find out from Logic and Pause 2 and some of the real historians in the city, like Ice, that knew about it. And there was this, and it was right on campus. It doesn't exist anymore. And it's not Roots Records, not a bunch of these people try to guess, but not Used Kids either. And I went up there and I said, give me your dopest, the dopest hip hop record that's out right now. I don't know exactly what I said, but the way I said it is I want the local, and I want, what everybody's listening to. So he gave me Common, like Water for Chocolate, who is in my top 3 of MCs of all time.
Okay.
And he gave me, that's funny because I'm about to say something, and then he gave me Illogic's record, Got Lyrics. And he's also in my top 10 favorite MCs of all time. Okay. So I got those 2, and the rest was history. I started following and researching around. I can't remember how we researched around. We just went to shows. Yeah. And then I ran into some guys and talked to them, and the next thing you know, I went to a place called, at the time it was called the High Five. And there was some local events going on then, just like some other spots. I was doing Skully and Gray Cafe, and where B-Dubs used to be on the corner of High
Okay.
and Lane.
Yeah.
It's called Scarlet and Gray Cafe. That's where I got my start. First shows I ever
shoot.
threw. Scarlet and Gray
wow.
Cafe.
Okay.
Before Skully's.
Okay.
So,
It's
yeah.
real Columbus player talking right now.
I'm telling you,
He
man.
taking you back to the old school landmarks. I'm like, oh, word? That used to be there? I didn't even know that.
It's crazy. And it looked totally, it looked so much more organic and natural than it does now.
Right.
So, met Jay Rawls.
Okay.
And shout out to Jay Rawls.
Definitely shout out to Jay Ross.
See, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He been killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
Jay Rawls
Facts.
has credits. He started with Brown Skin Lady.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that man has been doing it, and then he was finally given the opportunity to have another level
Yes,
of
sir.
creativity
Yes,
with
sir.
his friend Talib,
Mhm.
and the rest was history. So I met him. I gave it to him, and I'll never forget it. And Rawls is one of my mentors. I love him to death. And he looked at me and he said, he said something in the nature like, I recognize your energy and you seem like a good guy. I've seen you a couple places, whatever. And he goes, and I said this, I say this to people to this day. And he was like, here's my number. I'll either hear from you or I won't. And I took that because it's like, put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
You can talk the talk. New Year's resolutions are bullshit.
Y'all know the vibe.
Do it if you want.
Yes, sir. Just
You
do
know?
it.
Let's do it.
So
Get like Nike, just do it.
just do it. I mean, it's like the greatest slogan ever. And as cheesy as somebody might say it is, you can't take that shit away.
Facts.
So yeah. And then that's how it started. And the next thing you know, I hooked up with some friends from back in the day. Some of them freestyled. Some of them was doing music and producing, and we kind of came together, and I started doing shows, and next thing you know, came up with everybody else's and drew the logo and the whole deal.
There it is. Everybody else's ENT. Make sure y'all tap in. Website for it too, right?
Absolutely not.
No website right now?
I don't. I used to
Okay.
have a website.
Okay.
I just over the years don't think you really need it.
Okay.
If you get in a certain position of business and finances and you become a certain level where the IRA is a concern now, as far as making an X amount of dollars, absolutely.
Okay.
I just learned over the years that besides having an LLC and owning the rights and running your own business and brand, having a website isn't necessarily 100% needed. I had it for a while.
Makes sense.
And then as a booking agent and an artist myself, part of my whole MO with everybody else's and the whole story that I told you guys was this right here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes,
Handshake.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Eye to eye contact.
Yes, sir.
Learned that from my grand. It's very basic things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all my success over 20 years has been because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't deny that. No matter how the world changes, and I will praise it to any artist, you got to keep up. There's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
We've all slacked or not slacked.
For sure.
But I at some point in time, if I was making an X amount of dollars at a certain point, I absolutely would because of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But with what I do at the moment, I've never felt like I've really completely, truly needed it. Especially now that they got all the link trees and everything that basically go to
That's basically a website, yeah.
your online press kit.
Facts.
As an artist, we're talking about an EPK, all these things that I used to put emails and papers together and all these different things. You don't need any of that now. You got your link tree that has everything.
That's true.
So, I just airdropped for the first time, y'all. Shit was crazy.
We had to get him hip, you know what I mean?
crazy.
Better late than never.
I did it though.
You know what I mean?
Brett, I did it. I swear. Sweet Pete, I promise.
What has been some of the challenges you faced in like the Columbus music scene when it comes to like booking some local artists here? And you don't have to say no names for this one because people are sensitive.
Yeah. Well, the world's too sensitive right now. The world is extremely too sensitive right now. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive, and you need to be sensitive and respectful to people.
Sure.
But at the same time, going from anti-sensitive to too sensitive is not good either. So, there's different challenges from local to top tier. Some of them, some the same. Prima donnas are everywhere.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Like, what about the ones that like you have like a friendship with them, and it's like you book them, and is there ever like a clash with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Being a manager and being an artist representative, no matter what it is, long term to short term, on anything from shows to the artist development themselves, there's a plethora of things, and you have to build, just like friends and family, right?
Yeah.
Love, hate, relationship, shit,
Yeah.
But at some point in time, it's a business.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between two friends that might have told each other to fuck off, and they'll be friends again.
Right.
And then you have business of it, and the business of it needs to be handled a certain way. And there can be give and takes, of course, but I like to say this, and I've said this to artists before. I work at you got the tortoise and the hare, and I know there's the story, but I run my races fast, and I expect what I'm doing in the same time that I'm doing for anybody else to spin. And if you can't, then I can't help you.
You gotta get out the way, baby.
Because I'm not about to babysit you and be. I've even been. There was an artist I used to manage that people mistook me for him.
Wow.
Because that's how less of marketing and publicity and promotion of that person that they didn't do. You have to do that. So, anyways, that's one of the biggest problems. Is I there's a lot of things that have happened, and a lot of things that can complain about. But the biggest part is everybody can talk a game, but you got to put that work in. And if I don't see that work, I was told by Blueprint one time, if you are representing an artist local in your city that hasn't gained anything yet, that you're helping, all the way to someone that does maybe come mid-tier and ask you to help them, and I've seen the same kind of goods and bads on that side. He goes, if it's been 6 months to a year, you should be done with them, no matter what. It doesn't matter if faults, incidences, situations, whatever. But if you're on your game and it's been that long, you should drop them. I wish I would have paid attention to that a little bit more, because I have that heart and I have that love and passion, and there's some artists I've spent too much time with, but it is what it is. It is what it is. We all learn from
live and we learn, baby. But you ain't gonna do that again, though. You strict on them now, though.
I get now I get paid for counseling.
There it is.
I don't even have to manage.
There it is. You know what I mean?
I come in and I'll give you an hour to 2 hours.
You come talk to me.
You better have your pencil pad and your recorder down. I'll give you the blueprint of what you need in that time frame, and I do that. And actually, it's something I've been doing in the last
consultations. Consultations.
Something we've been talking about here.
I mean, everywhere from your business and what you need and how you need to do it, how do you need to get there, how do you need to handle that type of business, what you need to have prepared for that type of business, everywhere from touring to stage to development to records to creating them to where to go to who to be involved with, how to be involved with them, and the consistency in what you should be doing that rate at.
Yes, sir. This game right there. I'm trying to pick the gems up off the floor. Give me a second, y'all. My goodness, I need a broom or something. My goodness, that's fire right there.
If I talk too much, y'all, I'm sorry.
You got the floor. This is all you.
Shit.
What advice would you give to an aspiring musician looking to break into the Columbus music scene? Asking for a friend.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny. That's trippy that you're asking this, because I was asked that same question about almost 20 years ago. 15, 16, 17 years ago.
Wow.
So this past year was my 20th year anniversary of everybody else's.
Congrats.
Thank you. I didn't seem like it until it popped up, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what? I'm sure Facebook reminded me or something. I was like,
right.
Where did that come from? So how I'll answer that question, which is a very simple question and very good question. That's a great question. As simple as it is, that's a great fucking question, because most of the time, 99.9% everybody gives the bullshit answer to that question, or the Wikipedia page answer. And it's crazy you say that, because the last time I was asked, I don't remember the year of it. And I don't remember the exact day and the exact time. But I remember, what I do know is the case is, shout out to Cleveland, is there was a thing called the Ohio Hip Hop Awards. Can't remember even exactly the years. I think it ended between, I want to say it ended between 2010 and, no.
It had to be like 2013 because I went with one.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. It ended close to 2015.
Yeah.
And it was around for literally, I think, about 10 years.
Yeah.
I didn't get involved until I think, I want to say like middle of that. I was only involved in the second half or like 3/4 of it. Shout out to Quincy of E1 Music, and who is doing big things in Cleveland, and literally is like a top label A&R exec from there, and is part of the team, the original team of the Ohio Hip Hop Awards. Derek McKenzie in Florida, he was a part. Shout out Sugar Booga, D-Day Shug, my dude in Cleveland, radio host, and so he was a part of the team. And then Garbs Infinite, who was an MC in Cleveland back in the day. Shout out to Garbs. They were, and then, oh my gosh, and then, man, I feel like an asshole. There's another guy that was also part of the team who is involved in a lot of community organizations and teaching and schooling and radio through community and some corporations, and even I think has gotten involved politically. And he was involved, and he's was a radio DJ and personality in Cleveland as well. And those guys were the core of it.
Okay.
And I got involved and they put me on as a Columbus rep. Started selling tickets, and my thing, which was the whole point of everybody else's, was to catalyst whatever I do. The whole point of it was fake. Everybody else's was meant to put artists on and hook them up with people like radio and labels and everything. And how do you do that? Well, if I just throw the shows myself, get involved in everything I do, as long as I'm professional and I'm real about what I'm doing, which this is what I love, the next step is bringing my people on. And that's exactly what I did with everything. And the same thing with what I did with Ohio Hip Hop Awards. And I came on and repped them for a couple years. They had like best live performance. They had all kinds of categories where they had best live performance, which is where I excelled at, because in my opinion, live performance is the key to music and hip hop and creativeness. It's that performance aspect, not the record first, the performance. And so anyway, so I put them on and started to work with them for multiple years. And in one of those years, towards the end of me being a part of them, they asked me to do one of the conferences, and they did the whole thing. It wasn't just performance and awards. They did a whole weekend that had all the different ceremonies and sets and performances and education conferences that now is a big thing. E3C did it, South by Southwest did it. So they put me onto one of them, and I was sitting among Just Blaze, and I was sitting among a Bad Boy rep, and there was a couple other music execs there. Can't remember them all. And a lady and her daughter got up, and I was at the end. I didn't care. I didn't even, honestly, it was towards the end. They were the last question. I didn't even say anything the whole time. I think maybe there might have been a couple times where one of the guys on the team or whoever was hosting it was like, went down the line. Well, what do you think, Grant? What do you, went down the line of everybody. But I just had my book bag. I was ready to get out there. I was glad they asked me, but who am I compared to these guys sitting? Right. So she asked that, and they went down the line with it. She wanted to ask everybody, and every one of those guys, rather it was the guy behind the scene part of the labels, or a guy like Just Blaze or whoever it was, all gave the Wikipedia answers. And they asked that question. That was the question asked. What would you tell my daughter to become successful in this industry, music, hip hop, whatever, right? And they all gave the Wikipedia answers and all the things we all know. That is some of the things I've said, and knowing the right people and going out and working on your craft, and all these things are true. They're all true. It starts with the art. It's why we all love it. It's a passion.
For sure.
But the number two thing, or the biggest thing, your question, her question was, what is the biggest thing or number one thing you would say? And I would say this. Obviously, if you're a kid and you're in school, this doesn't necessarily apply per se, unless you're connecting other people about it. But if you're an adult, you're out of school, okay, you're on your own, get a job.
Okay.
You need money. Every single thing in this business costs money. If you want to just paint at home every day, there's nothing fucking wrong with that. But if you want your craft and what you do to make income, doesn't matter if you're Rhyme Sayers and Brother Ali, Illogic and Blueprint, and that's where you want to be and you love it, or you're Snoop Dogg, or Kendrick Lamar, or someone of a household a Wu-Tang crew or something. Okay, there's different levels to this. Like Wu-Tang said, it's not checkers, it's chess.
You better know it.
There's a whole level. There's people that make money that people have never heard and seen before, and they make a living
For sure.
doing music or whatever.
For sure.
So get a job, because everything costs. The tour van costs, the gas costs, the merchandise costs, the booking venues cost. This all costs.
Be ready
the
to
rent,
invest. Yeah.
everything costs money.
That's real.
That's the best advice I can give. And I said that, and I sat there, and he came down the line. I said that to him, and the room kind of like had like a chillness in it, like, oh shit, I was expecting, first of all, who the fuck is this guy, and then I even had like looks of like hater looks, like, what's this guy talking shit about? No, that's the truth.
You gotta be ready to invest.
So I got done, it was done, everything was cool, whatever. We went out there, everybody's shaking their hand. I just took my book bag, started to walk off stage. And about a minute or so later, I was walking out one of the doors of the area, and he came over.
Who was it?
It was Blaze.
Okay.
And I felt this arm on my shoulder. And I didn't know who it was, because I figured it was a friend. We were in, the atmosphere was, everything was cool. And I just kind of turned around, it was him. I looked right at him, I go, hey. I immediately be kind of like, I learned to not be a fanboy in this thing, so you can't be. But at that exact moment, I didn't. But I still looked at him. I go, I didn't. I was like, thanks for everything you did, and was literally about to turn around. Like I'm not like I've learned not to be a fanboy, and I'm not gonna.
For sure.
I'm not. You're a human being, and I'm a
Just
human
like
being.
I am.
That's all it is, man. And so he looked at me. He goes, I wanted to say to you that was some real shit. He goes, they needed to hear that. He goes, that was good. And that was it. Shook his hand and walked away. So that's the best advice. Save some money.
Save some money. Be ready to invest.
Telling you.
Yeah. It's simple, but it's highly effective.
Yeah.
To get you a job, whatever your wave is to make your bread, you're going to need that.
Everybody's got their grinds. And I appreciate most hustles unless you're hurting people. I mean, I smoke weed with the best of them, so I don't consider anything of that nature. But, setting aside certain aspects.
No unethical stuff, of course.
If somebody, and that's also an opinion too.
100%.
But it's like, for me, it's like, and we know the stories.
Yeah.
And we have to understand and be adults and understand that what things might have gone on. But just like, okay, somebody might bring up a guy in hip hop or something, and we know some stories now. And things have come out through the years. I'll look right at that person most of the time and say, okay, well, who's your favorite creative, or what did you like? And I'll be like, I've done my research too. That person was kind of a piece of shit too and did some shit. Did some dirt early on. Sometimes that happens.
Yes.
America itself was come on.
Yeah.
Come on. We don't need to get into it.
Know. Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm a historian. I know what's up. So But as long as you're not choosing to try to on purposely screw over, and you have a passion for creating or what you want to do, I applaud that, man. Get it.
That's real.
But you're gonna need it.
Yeah, you gonna need that.
You gonna need it.
Telling you,
Strap up.
you're gonna need it.
Yeah, man.
I'm still looking for sponsors, by the way. As so these
Likewise,
guys.
likewise.
Okay? So
For sure, get at us. How has the music industry changed in recent years, though? Like, as far as terms of live performances and artist development, like, what have you seen change in the years from,
there's a lot
over
of
the decades?
subjects we can talk about, and there's only one that comes up. I want to try to stay positive. I love being positive. I try to stay positive, but sometimes in teaching and education,
Yeah, you gotta keep
realness.
It fresh. Yeah.
okay. Commons talks about on his new album with Pete Rock.
Fire.
That's going to win. I mean, it's,
Fire.
wait, who's winning Grammys now? The young kid. Who's winning Grammys now?
Killer Mike.
The old kids is winning Grammys. The
Shout out to
teachers
Killer
is winning
Mike.
Grammys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what were you saying?
As far as how you've seen the performances and like
Yes.
just the artist overall change, like
I want to keep
progression.
it positive, and there's many positive things
Okay.
that have changed.
Mhm.
Okay, but like I said, teaching we got to kind of stick
For
to
sure.
learning.
Yeah,
Okay, and
good
sometimes
come with
that
the
creates
bad.
it. Okay,
Bad come with the good.
so this is a shout out to Marcel, my dude, Marcel P. Black. Okay, MC, look him up. He's dope. Just released a new album on Bandcamp.
Okay.
I think it's the Maroon album, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, you know his? Oh man, that's my dude. I had we're gonna be doing some business this year. We've been he's a teacher
Okay.
on all formats and an educator, and so I bring him up because he uses it specifically, and this is part of his actual artistry and his brand of what he's been doing for a long time. I remember it for a fucking decade at least.
Yeah.
And he goes with real MCs don't rap over vocals. Okay? If you're doing it, quit
Yeah.
because you're not doing it right. It's time to stop. You're not doing it for the right reasons, and you're fucking the game up. And it's bad. It comes from many things, but the idea in our generation, in the modern day generation that we're living in, let's call it quarter century, okay, or more. No, more. It comes from recording of TV. And I think there's some other history to it. I know that I'm with the historians will be watching. I'm not exactly correct on everything, but that particular part of the pre-recording is where it comes from. That concept in the business. But that's meant for audiences and shows and performances. It's not meant for on stage. And it's developed and been adapted, unfortunately, on stage. And it's been adapted because of the whole celebrityism that we don't need to get into, of people paying more attention to that than what's really the research and what's going on with the art form. So that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing that I've seen. And what it does is it takes away from you being a performer. And let me tell you now, you will have generation and they'll tell you, oh, they don't need this, the labels don't care and all this stuff. First of all, the labels concept is also another wrong statement. If you're looking to get signed to a label, straight up, if that's right now, you're saying, I want to get signed to a big label. That statement, you're quit. You're also wrong too. That's a whole nother story. You're wrong. You can do it by yourself. Give you the fucking blueprint. People do it to this day.
For sure.
Now the labels are coming to them and giving them and offering what they want.
We was just talking about that earlier today too. Yes, sir.
So anyways, back on track. So that's it. They want to see now even more. Used to they could say, we don't give a shit, it's fucked up or whatever. She did, he did, whoever. We'll train all this. No, now because the game is switched in the good sense, in the positive sense of your own ownership and your copywriting and your LLC and owning your own rights to your music and all these different things in music and performance that you can do now, and you make them come to you. Now, if they do give you money, you do need to be ready. And one of those things is performing. And if you're rapping on your own lyrics, you're not. And it's bad for the crowd. It's bad for the fans. Fans are paying good money. People are paying good money for your product. And if that's what you're trying, whatever your product is, and that's what you're trying to sell, you have to do that.
It's a good game right here, y'all.
Overdubs, a little funny hook or whatever, the hook, whatever. You had a singer, but you're not singing. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that goes into your performance to be able to be good enough to where nobody cares because you're performing so well and they love what they're seeing on stage.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Game.
Yeah, that's solid right there.
Super solid. What artists are you currently listening to? And can you tell us your top 5?
Oh, shit. Like anybody or top tier?
Yeah, your favorites.
Give us the Columbus playlist though too, because you know what's up.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah, who you listening to out of Columbus right now?
Okay.
We got to know what's up from the great.
Yeah. So, first things first, The Confidence of Knowing by J. Rawls and Talib Kweli.
Okay.
And
that's a fire joint. Yeah, that album is nice.
I picked up the vinyl at Rich Street Records. Shout out to Carl, DJ Paz too.
Okay.
That album itself, obviously I'm biased because but as a hip hop fan and a lover, I've always played around with Talib being a top 10.
Yeah.
Everybody has. I feel like there's a lot of people that have. If you love the whole form, the craft, all that kind of stuff. Talib Kweli is right there. But J. Rawls to me, as a producer, and what I've known from this man and worked with this man and seen and researched and come to be able to listen to, as far as like as friends and things, the album is absolutely immaculate, and it's definitely pick that up. Yeah, start to finish. So let's see. Okay, Confidence in Knowing. It doesn't have to. It can be anything.
Yeah, just give us. Yeah, I mean, we'll take the regular top 5 too. I just interested who you listening to out of Columbus because I'm sure you know.
Okay, Columbus. Right. Yeah. Okay, Columbus. Okay, I'll give you another one. Shout out to Blueprint. He just released his complete instrumental project.
Okay. What's that called?
Chamber Music 2.
Okay.
Chamber Music 2. You buy it directly from him. Instagram, Blueprint, Printmatic. He's definitely a friend and a brother. I actually did his release show. Okay. We did his release show at Rehab Tavern, and we have the Vibe Society. Shout out to Illogic, the Vibe Society, which is a producer showcase.
All right.
It's been going on for a couple years now, but pretty strong for a good year or so. We've been at Rehab, and Blueprint decided to come to us, did the release, and then right after that, he went on tour to overseas to Japan, I think. So that record, it's all instrumental. There's one or two little secrets on there that I'll let somebody check out. But that's another record. Beats and the Beatsmiths and the DJ and the producers are finally starting to get higher popularity recognition, and that's good. It's
As
crazy.
they should, yeah.
So many things change. You asked about things changing in the game.
The producers are the artists now.
They always have been.
They always have been.
It was
but now
always the DJ.
Now you can kind of more recognize them as like now they're being more recognized.
Well, you
as
had the
artists.
DJ, and then he let his boy grab the mic. And originally, all the guy at the mic was supposed to be was a host and an entertainer. That's why they call him an MC.
That was what the MC did. Yeah,
that's what an MC was.
If I'm being honest, I feel like DJ calling like some Eric B and like people like that. Calling them DJs, I feel like it kind of sort of discredits them though, as what they were really doing. So like in hindsight, like I know at that time that was what we were calling them, but in hindsight, I feel like it kind of made people think that they were just a DJ, and not made them realize what they were really doing.
Agreed, 110%. You're right. And that's something that's changed. Essentially, DJ originally was disc jockey on the radio.
Like
it wasn't even
way more than
DJ,
that.
You know what I'm saying? It's definitely changed.
There's
some big changes.
Producers in the city too. I seen a picture of you and AU.
Oh yeah, AU's man. Shout out to AU, man. Jack is one of the strongest men I've ever met in my entire life. The things he's been through and the confidence that he still has and the motivation and the passion to continue to create music and then do the same thing as a producer that I'm doing as what I do. And he wears hats and he manages and he books and he puts albums together and he produces and has a team of individuals. Shout out to Kaz and Wheezy. So that's he's another one, man. He's huge. His record, okay, here's one. He's about to drop another record because that man drops records like it's 91.
Non-stop.
I'm telling you, that man drops records like he's 91, but it needs to be, and that's why he is who he is.
Yeah.
He had a record that was dropped recently, and it was called
This past year.
This is another instrumental album.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another favorite of mine from everybody that I know, dropping records locally or we all know Ohio, whatever. Okay, Columbus, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's called The Day We Left Earth.
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
And Jack is so diverse in his styles, which is really what separates him.
Yeah.
That one thing that separates him. But that record for me infuses a lot of wave music and a lot of soul, and the way that he did that. And I'm a big fan of boom bap. I like all kinds of stuff, but I'm a big fan of boom bap and real musical songs, and the way that he did that album was super dope. So that's 3.
Agreed. Shouts out to the AU. Y'all already know what's going on.
Yeah, man, that's 3. What else, man? What else can we say here? Recent. I know one. Oh, yeah. I gotta look it up here because I want to make sure not to fuck up the words, okay? Give me a second here. But there is this guy, a lot of times I'm meeting, I brought in, shout out to Philly Phil from Dayton. He's one of my mentors. He's a booking agent, artist representative, many hats, same thing. He prints these shirts. He prints all of my brand and all my shirts and clothing.
Okay.
We brought in, or he called me and invited me to be part of the show. And in Dayton, we had Killer Priest, Woo Syndicate, Woo Family. Shout out to Killer Priest. Brought him in town, and there was a guy on the bill that I'd never heard before. And Cleveland, I got my second, I got kind of like my second home was Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after those years and after Ohio Hip Hop Awards went away and all that stuff, Dayton, because of my family, Dayton and Cincy and Springfield and Yellow Springs, that area became like, that's my second home in Ohio, period.
Yeah.
And Philly Phil's a mentor. He used to be the manager of Still Knows and works with Bootsy, obviously Funk from Dayton Funk, all that history. Yeah. And so he brought him in, and he put this guy on the bill, and I'm like, Reese, dude. And I'm like, who's Reese Dude? I've never heard of Reese Dude before, but I knew all these other guys. Shout out to Issa Ali and Village Fam and all them, Fatty Lumpkin. Everybody's killing it in Yellow Springs and Dayton. Tino, shout out to Tino, obviously. So we do Jeremy Street. We do this show, and Swift will be out there now too. Fucking Swift is in Yellow Springs now. So we do this show, and this Reese dude's on there, and he talks to me, and he comes up, and a couple times I'm like, okay, yeah, that kid, I checked out his set. He's dope. He can spit. He got bars. He got this energy. He got a vocal voice to him that's like one of those voices that's like, oh, you can't deny that. And his stage presence, and and you could tell he was new, but he's coming up and he's learning, and he's hitting it with flying colors. And he was with the DJ. Shout out to Don Johnson, and they were on stage, and they performed that show. And I gave him my number, and I said the same thing. I said the same thing as Ross said to me. I said, if you're serious, I'll hear from you. Yeah. And I did. Came over to my house. We've been friends. Met his wife. Hanging out. And he did a record this year. It's called Coconut Grove. Okay. And it's produced by Don Johnson from the Yellow Springs, Dayton area. Solely produced, and then MC Reese Dude. Okay. And that album has a total modern but old school sounding kind of cocaine 80s vibe, man. It's like this Miami Vice vibe, and and there's skits in it.
Yeah.
Sounds like an old school. It's dope.
Okay.
It's dope.
Now you had just mentioned, you kept it real simple. Which you gave you the number. Either I'm gonna hear from you or I don't. And it happened on multiple occasions with different people. So how do you go about fostering a sense of community among artists and music lovers in the city? Like how do you go about really connecting with the artists and people in this music space to the point where it can actually be effective?
That's a good question, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but it has nothing to do with business or anything, man. I mean, obviously we talk about professionalism and respect and stuff in business in general, courtesies and things of that. But like, I didn't ever think of it that way. It wasn't, I didn't know if anything was going to work. I didn't know if it was going to, I mean, my first shows that I put together was everything. When I was doing shows, it was called, oh my God, I can't even remember the first title of my shows when I had a Scarlet and Gray. It was called Monthly Mic Check. Monthly Mic Check. And I intended to literally take rock and roll and any kind of DJ art, any DJs, any bands, any rappers, hooked up with all the break B-boys and B-girls and the breakers with certain crews in town. And because at the time Columbus we have a scene now and there's schools for it. But so anyways, so I didn't know what was going to work. I just knew that's what it's crazy. It's like I just felt like that's what was Grant, what are you going to do? I'm about to draw up my first fucking show. I remember my flyer. I still got the flyers. And I just wanted to bring people together. Yeah. And I felt that the way that you would bring people together is by including everything. And forcing. And this is another thing, and I talked to my girl and all my partners about, I wanted to force feed people hip hop. Fuck you. You're taking it and you're going to like it, and everything that you do in the first place is because of hip hop. Because hip hop is the most influential music in history. Yeah. With everything, of all the elements and everything. And I just felt that I had to have all those forms of music and artists there. I had artist life painting shows and things of that nature. Other people did too, but I'm saying I put all those things together. And I guess from that, and then continuing to know I think it was in essence the beginning of that, but the idea behind it was I wanted to, back to everybody else's, I wanted to give as many artists the opportunity to put their craft on stage and come together and then force all these artists to say, and I didn't even know this at the time, if you guys want to make it, I think a good idea would be, let's know everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And
Smart.
That's what I was trying to do. So,
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question.
That's a good question. As someone who does light A&R work as well, can you tell us about more about what goes into booking an artist and how you credit more aligning things?
Like, how do you get the credit? You know what I mean? Like when you line stuff up, how do you go about getting the credit? Since you might not be the person performing and stuff, how do you get?
Like, are you? Because you said something before. Are you asking like how I book the artists themselves or book the event?
Both.
That's a big question. I mean, obviously, there are two different subjects on how you look for a venue compared to an artist. But that's a good question. A lot of people want to know, how do you book an artist? How do I get booked? Right? How do I get booked? How do you book artists? How do you, what do you look for? What things do you look for and all this stuff? Obviously, a lot came from me being involved in the industry and learning myself. Just like any artist would learn to be on stage, I'm learning all that too. But I learned from the OGs. I went straight to the sources, right? the J. Rawls and Philly Phils on how
Yes,
you're
sir.
putting together the shows and artists to look for. I'm learning about Blueprint and Logic, and I'm going to their shows. I'm watching how they're performing and seeing what they're doing. I'm falling in love with music and more anyways, and I'm growing up listening to all these MCs, and they don't rap on their own fucking lyrics, and and they're creating these performances. Rather they use lights or makeup, or regardless of what it is. So I learned from experience. I learned from what the OGs and the individuals in my city and state were performing, all the way to what the people behind them booking it, and the venues and the booking agents and the people doing that. And like I said, what I came to saw that there was something missing a little bit, So besides a couple people, yeah.
Nice.
It's, we mentioned not rapping on your own lyrics or whatever. We could sit here all day and go over a huge list of 50 plus things that I look for. But to kind of help or keep it, easy and simple for anybody is I look for the passion of that person. Are they selling themselves at all? Are they selling themselves too much? Are they not selling themselves enough? Are they rapping on their own lyrics? Are they performing on stage? Are they crowd engaging? Do they engage with the crowd? Do they look like they know their lyrics and their material? Do they have enough material? Are they giving eye contact and, again, engaging with the crowd? Do they know how to capture a stage? And when I say capture a stage, knowing what stage you're on. Are you on a 5x6 stage, or are you on a 20x30 stage? Those are different performances.
For sure.
Are they able to do those things? What elements do they bring in to their performance besides engaging? What types of engagement is it?
Yeah.
Are they setting up lights? Are they putting some smoke machines up? Okay, not everybody needs that. You don't have to. Everybody's different. Kiss paints their face, and some people don't paint their face. Nothing wrong with that. Those are extremes. But what is it? Is there something there?
Yeah.
Is there a passion and a care for that craft? Okay, let's say if I don't see them, right? I don't, maybe they're new. Maybe they haven't had any performances or anything. That's one question I'll ask. Have they had any performances?
Yeah.
Are you out there yet? Is this truly your first time asking somebody, or are you really,
Right.
Is there anybody to back you up? Sometimes I'll see if people know this person. Hey, well, who do you work with in town? And ask them questions and see how serious they are. And sometimes people, I know that I can be a lot. I know that I can be in your face. I know that I can talk and all those things in my energy sometimes. But I actually try to use that as an advantage to weed out, just like the beware of dog sign. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm too much, okay, cool, then I'm too much.
Yeah, you can't handle this
fine.
over here. Yeah.
But I'm going to kind of bombard you because I get that so much.
Yeah.
And
you
I'm
want to know
going
if
to
they
hit you with
serious.
it.
You want to know if they serious.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't be just going off of you talking and then I put you up there on the stage and you really ain't serious though. You gotta do your research on that person.
100%.
I understand that.
110%.
Definitely.
So, are you rocking with a band? Are you rocking with a DJ? And that doesn't mean if you're not that, those are like, I put those as next levels too.
Yeah.
But I those are kind of like the core, seeing the passion of somebody involved, not just coming up to you. Now, if you come up to me 3 times or 4 times, I know guys. There's guys that I've known for 10 years that have been looking for shows, and I don't book them. It's not because I don't know them. It's not because they don't know other individuals in town. It's not because that they haven't performed and do things. But there's just things I see so much where it's like, that's all that it is, but then I'll never get the phone call, and then when I do ask questions, rather it's a personal conversation or online or something of that nature, you can't. I'm like, okay, well, that's still a red flag. So yeah.
Been in the game a long time. My man can tell when you
20
full of
fucking years. Yeah.
He can tell when you full of shit.
Yeah. I'll call you out. I'll call you out on stage. I haven't had to do that much, but there's 2 times I took the mic away. from a guy on stage.
Did you hit him with the Apollo cane? You just yanked them out of it?
I just straight up yanked it off.
Sheesh.
And I had enough individuals around me that we were all cool, and the family was there, and it was one of those random people situations, not a.
So let's get them before the tomatoes start coming up here. All right.
It's like you know.
What future trends do you foresee in the music industry? Is there anything that you see like that's kind of trending, like people are gonna be doing this here in the next year, or 2025 just started? So what's something that you think you'll be seeing a lot of from Columbus artists this year?
Doesn't matter if it's good or bad.
Just a trend.
Fuck, man. Well, a trend. What's a trend that I? Well, like I said,
you see a lot of them doing.
The whole rap on the lyrics thing is really number one.
Okay.
As far as we're talking performance, booking, tickets, events, shows. That's what we're talking. If we're talking about that subject, that's the trend that I see.
Okay.
That's fucking number one. Fucking. You are, and it's coming around now to where it's a thing, to where finally it's catching on. It's starting to catch on even with general public and people that just like music. They don't get into it too much. I'm hearing of it. So Marcel, you did a great job, and anybody else that promotes that type of atmosphere. Recording. This is a trend. I'm not going to give my opinion on this at all, because everybody has an opinion, left or right, or left and right. But a trend that I do see, fuck, I don't even want to talk about it because it's like kills the soul, because
it's real though.
This is
coming from the person that you want to book you though. So you got to take it for what it is. At the end of the day, this is what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not the only one who thinks like this. You know what I mean?
When Skynet, I know that reference. Terminator, Matrix, Skynet, Skynet from the Terminator, Matrix, your guys' generation.
Okay,
when Skynet from Terminator and the Matrix takes over, we're all going to be dead. Okay, so at one point in time, everything is going to be robots, correct? Everything's going to be machine and artificially generated. Yes, we're all going to be dead before that. Okay, until then, the trend that I see is recording and making. I mean, I'm talking most aspects of creativity and art and entertainment, which is fucking AI. I think that this is all I'll say. I think that there's great atmospheres and aspects of it, but just like everything, my grandma told me this, for every great idea, there's somebody with a bad intention. And unfortunately, that bad intention ends up winning.
That's true. What did you think about Drake using Tupac voice?
I mean, fuck. Oh, geez. I've never fucked with Drake ever.
Okay.
I think he's an industry artist because of where he came from in general. And I think he's a pop star.
He is.
And I'm not saying that in any negative term.
It's just that's what he is.
But if we're having a hip hop and rap conversation, I don't bring him up, and nor would I accredit somebody that does. But we all have to, right? Okay, hip hop, rap spectrum, whole nature. He has part of his sound and his music incorporates a lot of rap and hip hop. Okay, so I know the story that goes behind the Wu-Tang story of the song called Wu-Tang that he had, and I'm not mentioning any names. I know some individuals that work with them specifically over the years, A&R work and booking and many things and many hats, and I am able to I'm not just saying that person in general, but find out things and learn things, and see things and hear things through the industry of the business behind it. And it was a marketing event. I mean, RZA, from what I understand, RZA and Wu-Tang were even contacted about it on a seemingly respectful way that should be, especially in hip hop. And it ended up being used still when things were not settled, and and labels made decisions on themselves, and that's what happened, and it turned into more of a marketing ploy for hip hop fans, in my opinion, and many others, of what it seemed like.
Yeah.
So obviously, to answer your question, using Tupac or something of that, no, to me that's some biting. To me, that goes in the same old school category as like biting and abusing without the passion and caring.
Not for sure.
My opinion.
Do A&R collabs exist? Do A&Rs work together to put together an event, or do you work with another A&R at times when it comes to booking? Like, does that exist?
Absolutely, it exists.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100% it exists. And so it should. It needs to.
Mm-hmm.
With everybody. With artists, I tell artists, become a booker, become a manager, become a tour agent, become all these things. Learn how to produce. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to produce, doesn't mean you have to become, but you'll start to find in this industry that once you get past once you get past your city and you go into statewide or regional, all these men, everybody I've brought up today, everybody I've talked about, all have multiple hats that they wear professionally.
Yeah.
That's game right
There's
there.
all you got. Wu-Tang. RZA is that fucking leader. He was doing this. His brother Diggs was doing this. They all had their parts in Wu-Tang. That was the whole concept of it. That's You gotta wear many hats, and you gotta be able to do those things, in my opinion, if you want to become successful. Or have a great team around you. But even the guys that have good teams, you're going to probably find when you learn more than the Wikipedia page, that they were busting their ass to do something, and they were doing something more than just being on stage or performing.
That's fine.
So learn everything.
Yeah.
Know what the producers are doing, know what the beatsmiths are doing, know what the engineers are doing. Know how the business works, know how copywriting works, know how have your ASCAP, your BMI, for all your publishing, and there's so many levels to publishing in your music that would take days in itself in a whole curriculum at a school. So, yeah.
Fire. You learn everything, in your industry. It's less likely to get finessed too. The more you know how to do something, the less people can run game on you around you, because you know how everything works.
Yep.
That's one thing I picked up on too.
Hell yeah.
Now, former contractor with Live Nation. That's you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Former though, so you're no longer associated with Live Nation? No longer?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I know some individuals that are still there. But it was Live Nation has become extremely corporate, very, 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 very corporate, bank size type corporate. They're the largest booking venue entertainment company in the world, I believe.
Already? Really?
I'm pretty fucking sure.
Wow.
I mean, I'll look it up, but I mean, Live Nation going to pop up.
Everything.
Okay.
And my involvement with Live Nation was more on a booking aspect. Oh, no. It was more on a marketing and promotion.
Okay.
And one major thing, which I've talked about, the people that you know, the individuals that you know, your friends, your colleagues, even if you're not best friends with this guy, you're a colleague with him. Sharp, you know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up with him. I didn't grow up with BHB. But they're colleagues in music. They have families. We all got, but you got to know your family of what you're doing, whatever it is creatively. And so I had a guy that my family grew up with that extended with my mom and dad out in the boondocks. Okay, a shout out to Andy Dirth, and I'm going to call him out. He is not he's not on any. He's not on any list of anything or whatever in the music industry, but he worked for Schottenstein Center and with Live Nation directly, because that's a Live Nation venue.
Yep, the shot.
I grew up with him, baby pictures and shit, and his parents were friends with my parents, and he went to Otterbein, and we were friends growing up, and we were back and forth throughout all the years after high school and all that stuff, back and forth. But he knew what I did, and he called me up and was like, "Hey, we need some street promotion and some street marketing." And so he called me up, and that's how I got involved. Now, I only met through emails and business, because after he left, I kept in contact with him for another year or so. So I met throughout 4 or 5 years that I was doing that. 3, 4 years, maybe close to 5 years. I got to know some other guys in Live Nation and involved, and met people. Oh, you know him from Dayton, and but it's a business where people leave a lot.
Yeah.
They want the college kid for cheap right out the gate, who might not even care too much about, oh, I'm just selling tickets. Okay, yep. I know, Axl Rose, sure, yes, it's 8 o'clock. There's no passion behind it.
Yeah.
He would always tell me, he would always say, Grant, you need to have this. This job is meant for you. But corporations, they don't care. That's another reason I never signed to labels. I met a lot of individuals in situations where I've met some label guys, with certain companies, rather it was guys with Live Nation or guys with record labels or whatever. I didn't want that, because I wanted to rep and do it my way and represent my people. And if that situation ever happened, like a label, it would be because somebody knew me and said, "You know what, Grant, we've been working together for 3 or 4 years. Let's go ahead and,
partner up."
Yep, absolutely.
There it is.
What type of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I want to give a shout out to B Jazz of Liquid Crystal Project. This is something that's been said to me in my entire career, but he put it very eloquently, bluntly, honestly, boldly, and truthfully. And I always say, I go, man, I'm a humble guy, man, I don't care. And he told me, he's like, no, you're not. He goes, because you don't have to be a dick or an asshole, but don't be humble. Humble will get you nowhere. And I know what he was saying. He wasn't using the word in the way that most people want to think about the word. It's not about being like a caring person.
Right.
And that's, that's kind of to bring that statement up and to bring up what he said. That's because what was your question?
Your legacy. What type of legacy you want to live?
I don't really want. I'm like, I want to say, I'm a humble guy. I don't have a legacy. I don't, and I don't think about that stuff. I really don't think about that stuff.
Did you see what Mike Tyson said about the legacy when the little girl asked him, and he was like, "Who gives a shit about legacy? You're gonna die one day." That's real. Everybody don't really have to care about that. Yeah.
But on the opposite end, don't tell me that there's not a part that he don't care.
Oh yeah, of course.
He does.
Of course.
It ate him alive to not box. It ate him alive to not be who he is. And be basically by contract forced to not really fight.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't think about those things.
Yeah.
Don't think about those things. But asking that question to me, I guess the only legacy that, man, what the fuck is a legacy, right?
Yeah.
I guess the only way that I could answer that for me would be, I just hope that when my time comes, that whatever I've done in the area or in the part of Mother Earth that I'm at, with the people that I've been put into the life of, friends, family, strangers, everybody, I just hope that people want to just continue the tradition of building a music community and hip-hop community and art for the people to continue to spread the art. And at the end of the day, we're talking about language. And we're talking about, I guess, individuals continuing to speak when they're told not to. It's a good question. Never had to answer that before. That's crazy.
What's something that resonates with all people of Columbus besides the Buckeyes?
Maybe not all. Yeah, that's a good one. What's something that resonates with Columbus? Like musically or
Anything.
anything. What's something that resonates with Columbus? Okay. I'll tell you what resonates with Columbus. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. And it's not just because of the Buckeyes recently and some of their fans and their angry fans. It doesn't make any sense at all. One of the things that resonates with Columbus is, I'm going to say this for everybody. Okay. So your question was what resonates with Columbus. Mm-hmm. And this isn't a negative thing, but this is kind of like a teaching point thing again. Okay, so there's positives that I could say and list examples of whatever, but I'm gonna say this. Going to other countries with music in my profession, teaching in my profession, booking all over the country a lot of parts of the country in my profession, touring myself on the road, and all the experience that I've gotten in 20 years. Every single place I go, rather it's West Jefferson, Ohio, shout out, rather it's West Jefferson, Ohio, or New York City. All right? Everybody talks shit about how nobody cares in their city. Everybody's bickering in their city. Nobody works together in their city. Nobody cares in their city. There's no hip hop in Columbus. There's no punk in Columbus. There's no this in Columbus. There's no love in Columbus. There's no community. All the fucking different phrases that we could say. That shit is fucking bullshit. No, it's true. But we act like every city from West Jefferson to New York City acts like it's just them. And you're fucking wrong. It's everywhere. You dumbasses. It's everywhere. It goes on everywhere. And I got out to find that. And then what that taught me is, took the weight off my shoulders. It doesn't fucking matter. Nothing, it doesn't matter. Yep. Just like being local. I'm a local underground king. I'm known, and then quit. You're doing it wrong, man. Exactly. Think globally or think bigger than that. Now, obviously, again, yes, not everybody wants to be a household name again. Many paths to this. Yep. Okay? But it's like I hear the same shit everywhere. Even in cities that we would go, New York, they all support each other. No, they don't. I mean, the OGs, and once you get into the game on certain levels might, and that game in top tier happens to be originally in New York. But we're talking about the local spectrum or the independent spectrum.
And it's the same situation. They're dealing with the
same
issues.
Thing. Yeah. So stop it. Stop. Yeah. Stop worrying about that and just fucking do it.
Stop acting like it's just Columbus.
God, man. Yeah.
Maybe it's just you.
Probably is.
There's thought.
It's been 20 years. I've seen a lot of dead birds on the street. A lot of pigeons on the street, dead. Or walking around barely.
What's your message for the Columbus youth?
You're going to get 1,000,000 no's for every yes. And you have to be able to use that one yes with motivation enough to do it. If all you're getting is great job from family and friends, I'm not talking about doing something, but if all you're hearing is that everything you do is great and everything that you do is perfect, you're not. Because you need criticism. Accept criticism. Accept your best friend or your label mate or your creative partner or whoever it is tell you, I don't know about this or that, or maybe try this or that or whatever. And we could all fuck up on the way we say things. But for every 1,000,000 no's, you're going to get one yes. And you need to be able to accept and move on. And if you truly love what you do, you will continue to transpire past that. And moving past that and working some artists for 20 years, 30 years until they get any recognition. That's what it takes. So
That's real.
That's real right there.
Any more questions? The Great Grant Gatsby, y'all. My goodness. I mean, he just dropped gems all over the table. They're everywhere. You know, so we got to get like a animation for when he be saying the real shit, the gems just start falling. You know, so working on that.
The thing like the games and shit, all those little games, that'd be fucking fun.
Yes, sir.
Hell
Grant,
yeah.
tell them how your experience was today with Central High Creators.
It was a blast, man. I love it. I would love to come back. There is so much family in this city with history and multiple types of music and multiple types of hip hop, where I would love to come in here, and questions have been good.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know what to expect. So
You know.
be prepared.
Yes,
if I hit
sir.
you up, it's some real shit.
Come on. There it is, y'all.
And we support everybody: hip hop artists, rock artists, country artists,
A&Rs,
A&Rs, authors,
comedians,
comedians, teachers,
astronauts. I mean, shit, if you know one, tell them to come through.
teachers,
You know what I mean?
aliens,
What we doing?
UFOs, whoever.
Pull up.
Creators, what are you creating? What are you creating today?
Pull up.
Everything.
Yeah.
Comedy. We got comedians.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Man.
Yeah. We had a comedian cut through. We need some more, though, you know? Food vibes coming, too. It's a lot of good things on the way, y'all. But in the meantime, the Great Grant Gatsby, Central High Creators. Until the next time, y'all, we out. Fire.